Have you ever felt completely stuck? Like you're just spinning your wheels but not actually going anywhere? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into some really powerful and honestly kind of surprising advice from the author Robert Greene on how to find your way through those wilderness years and get on your true path. It's that feeling, right? That sense of confusion. Maybe you finished school, you got a job, but it feels like there's no instruction manual, no clear map telling you what to do next. You're just left to figure it all out on your own. If that sounds familiar, then this is for you. And see, this is what makes Robert Greene's advice so real. This isn't some guru talking down from a mountaintop. This is a guy who was lost in that exact same wilderness himself. And the story of how he found his way out, well, that's the map we're about to look at together. So let's start where he started, his wilderness years. And look, this wasn't just some quick detour for him. We're talking about a long, winding road that was absolutely filled with frustration and a ton of false starts. I mean, just look at this timeline. This is nearly 20 years of trying different things and feeling like nothing was clicking. Journalism? Nope, dead end. He tries to write a novel, but it fizzles out. He ends up in Hollywood, and it's just a total soul-crushing experience for him. It literally took him until he was 36 for that big light bulb moment to finally strike. And this right here, this is the core reason he was so lost. Greene realized that the feeling of being adrift comes from not having any real, tangible skills. You know, when you don't have a solid foundation, you just bounce from one thing to the next, stuck in this loop, never really making any forward progress. But, and this is where it gets really good, those years in the wilderness, they weren't a waste of time, not at all. In fact, they turned out to be the most critical part of his entire journey. This is where he was secretly gathering the tools he would need to build his entire career. Greene uses this amazing analogy of building a life brick by brick. So even in his most frustrating moments, when it felt like he was going absolutely nowhere, he was slowly, and he didn't even know it at the time, he was gathering skills. Every single job, every experience was just another brick being laid in the foundation of his future masterpiece. Okay, let's break this down because this is where you see it all come together. These failures were actually his training ground. From journalism, he learned how to write fast and hook a reader. From trying to write novels, he mastered storytelling. And from Hollywood, that's where he learned how to do incredibly deep research and make it dramatic and interesting. Not one of these was his final path, but without every single one of these bricks, the 48 Laws of Power would just not exist. It's incredible. And get this isn't just some nice-sounding idea. It's hard science. Greene talks about a neuroscientist at UCLA who proved that when you practice something with focus, you are literally physically changing the structure of your brain. You're forging new pathways. An idea, something you can't even touch, is physically altering the matter in your head. That's the mind-blowing power of building a skill. Okay, so you've been patiently laying your bricks. You're rewiring your brain. You have the skills. But skills alone aren't enough. It's like having a race car with no gasoline. You need a spark. You need a catalyst. And that, my friends, is boldness. Man, I love this quote. Think about it. When you hesitate, you create this space for doubt to creep in, for other people to question you. But when you act with boldness, with real energy and confidence, you just blow past all of that. You create your own momentum. Greene tells these great little stories to prove his point. My favorite is about a guy who started a magazine and called it Bad Ideas, basically because his own mother told him it was a terrible idea. But the sheer audacity of it made people curious, and guess what? It was a huge hit. It just goes to show how acting with total conviction can make all the difference. So the takeaway here is pretty simple. Bold action creates its own reality. When you move like you know what you're doing, people just tend to assume you do. They don't question you, they get out of your way. Your confidence becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. All right, so you've got skills, and now you have the boldness to use them. But skills in what? This brings us to a really powerful and maybe even controversial idea from Greene that totally goes against most career advice you hear today. Forget about passion. Yeah, Greene really dislikes the word passion, and here's why. Passion is fickle. It demands constant excitement. But true mastery is built on a mountain of boredom, right? It's the thousands of hours of practicing scales on a guitar. Passion runs away from that. But a life's task,
That's different. That's a deep, primal connection to a subject that gives you the patience to push through all the boring, tedious parts. And this story he tells about Stevie Wonder just captures it perfectly. Green was watching him play, and he said he could almost feel the tens of thousands of hours of practice that went into it. That kind of genius doesn't come from a flash of passion. It's forged over a lifetime of devotion to a craft, a love so deep it makes the boring stuff feel meaningful. So, your life's task isn't about finding the perfect job title. It's about finding your direction. It's tuning in to that thing you just feel a natural pull towards. For Green, it was strategy and power. For you, it might be coding or gardening or understanding people. It's your own personal compass that points you toward what you were meant to build. So, how do we put all these pieces together? Well, it all boils down to a pretty simple but incredibly powerful framework for finding your way out of the wilderness and onto the path of mastery. Here it is, the whole thing in 3 steps. First, discover your life's task, that thing that just calls to you. Second, develop your skills, patiently laying brick after brick, knowing you're literally reshaping your brain for success. And finally, third, deploy those skills out in the world with absolute boldness. And this is Green's final message. It's a call to action. Stop planning forever. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. He says the person who spends 2 years on a business plan will never launch it. But the one who just starts, they're the one who succeeds. So whatever that thing is for you, that business, that book, that project, just start. Do it. So that leaves us with one last, really important question that you have to ask yourself. Now that you've seen the map, now that you know the path from the wilderness to mastery, what is the one bold step you're going to take starting right now?